There were 8 new head coaching hires made in college football this past week, so let's go through and give out grades to each of them, starting with Will Hall to Tulane, which I'm going to give an F. I understand trying to maintain continuity by hiring a guy from within the staff, but Will Hall's track record is awful. He was straight up not a good head coach at Southern Miss, which is his only FBS coaching sample size we have. He had success at West Alabama and West Georgia at the Division II level, but I just think this is way too good of a job to give to a guy like Will Hall, who is as unproven as he is. Alex Mortensen to UAB gets a D-. He's basically being hired solely for being the interim head coach when they upset Memphis, but that Memphis team ended up losing 4 of their last 6 games. Mortensen's the OC from the last couple of years where the offense has actually regressed each season. I just don't understand this hire. I don't think he's qualified enough. Terrible administration at UAB, and it shows with this hire. Iowa State gets Jimmy Rogers, which I'm going to give a C- to. Rogers' resume effectively boils down to winning a national title in his first year at South Dakota State, which was already a ready-made winner, coming off of a national title, and then underwhelming in his second year with the Jackrabbits, leaving and having an all-right year at Washington State. It's just not a big enough sample size for me. FCS program Cal Poly hired Tim Skipper to be their next head coach. I'm going to give it a C+. Yes, Skipper doesn't have an illustrious resume of crazy success, but as an interim head coach, he's given some juice to some locker rooms. So taking a shot on a guy like this, I think that's an excellent move from a program like Cal Poly. Charles Huff to Memphis gets a B-. He just orchestrated a very impressive one-year turnaround at Southern Miss. He had great success at Marshall in 4 years as well. However, I think it's tougher to level up in the American Conference, especially in that top tier. And also, Huff has left his stops pretty quickly each time. So if he has success at Memphis, it's probably only a matter of time until he leaves for a better job. Jason Candle to UConn gets a B. This is a guy that can assemble a great roster, a great staff. He did great stuff at Toledo, was very consistent over the last 11 years. However, the reason it's only a B is because he routinely had the best roster in the MAC. So to only have 2 conference titles to show for 11 seasons, that just means they didn't meet expectations, and he didn't really do a ton with the talent most seasons. Matt Campbell to Penn State gets an A. I think he's one of the most underrated head coaches in college football, and anyone who understands how this sport works and the levels to this sport will recognize how impressive it is what he has been doing at Iowa State over all these years, and so he can do great stuff at Penn State. The only reason this is not an A+ is just because of how public and ugly this coaching search was and how embarrassing it was at times, but at the end of the day, I do think they made the right hire. But my favorite hire from this last week is Billy Napier to James Madison. It gets an A. There's a reason they called this guy Sunbelt Billy in Gainesville. And yes, it was a little bit of an insult, but it was also because he dominated the Sunbelt when he was there at Louisiana. Now at James Madison, he's going to have a resources and talent edge over everybody there. I just think it's danger for everyone else that's in the Sunbelt. He is going to run that thing as long as he is with James Madison. This is how you make a follow-up hire. Just a great move by the Dukes.